Welcome back, everybody. We've had a slight hiatus due to some technical issues. I couldn't get my microphone to work for some reason. But thanks to Yasir from the Microsoft help team, he fixed it for me. So here we go. Hoping this sounds pretty good. I mean, I think it sounds pretty good. I can hear it at all. So that's an improvement to what it was. But anyway, guys, welcome back. Like I said, today we're going to run through the weekend of football. Well, actually, no, we're not. All we're going to do today is take a look at what, in my opinion, who might and might not deserve a spot in the college football playoffs. I know that we're getting pretty close to the end of the season, and I'm going to take a look at the actual rankings that came out on Tuesday and kind of compare them with my own. I have a list. Guys, go check it out on Instagram. I'm going to have to pull it up here in a second. But guys, I've got a list of a couple lists, really. One of the power rankings, and you can go and see, what I kind of think, what we Rant Rant On thinks of the top 10 teams power wise. You can go check that out. But like I said, today's going to be mostly about the playoffs, and I also put out a little picture, or whatever you want to call it, of what an 8-team playoff would look like. And it's going to be a couple more years before that happens. But, it's fun to go ahead and take a look at it. We'll get into that a little bit later. But go check us out on Instagram. It's just at Rant On Sports. You can see all the graphics that we come up with. I'm trying to come up with more every week or so, But, go check it out, guys. But anyway, let's hop right in here. So, as much as I wanted to talk about Texas losing to Kansas last week, I'm going to save them that embarrassment. And I'm going to start off by, just giving you a list of my playoff. I mean, mine and the playoff committee's picks. I mean, right now, obviously, it's going to be Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, and Ohio State. Now, all these teams have to do to get in is not lose, which is easier said than done mainly because a couple of them are going to play each other. So Alabama and Georgia, like I said, are going to be playing each other in the SEC championship, assuming Alabama can escape the next 2 weeks against Arkansas and Auburn. But guys, in my opinion, if Alabama loses that game, the SEC championship, unfortunately, I think they'd be out. If Alabama wins, however, both teams are getting in. I mean, that's just going to happen. We've seen it happen before. It's going to happen again. So, but let's take a look at everybody's path here. I think the hardest path to get to the playoffs is almost definitely Alabama's, maybe Ohio State's. But Alabama's got, 2 or 3 3 if you consider, if you count the SEC championship, we'd have 3 remaining top 25 teams to play. I think all 3 of them could be a threat. I mean, Arkansas is not bad. They've had a few pretty good wins this year. Auburn, it's always hard to go into a Jordan Hare and play there. I mean, you've seen what's happened over the past 10 years there with Alabama. And then you've got Georgia, who is just, an unstoppable train this year, and it doesn't look like anybody's going to stop them. So, I mean, Alabama's got 3 pretty tough matchups on the way out to be able to get into the playoffs. But, if they win all 3, then they deserve the spot to be there. Nobody can argue against that. But what about Oregon? Okay, well, they have a pretty tough matchup this weekend as well against the top 25 Utah team, who has a pretty good season so far. I mean, I think they are ranked 24 or 23 as of this week, and I think they've got 3 losses. But, I mean, they've been pretty solid. They've got a couple pretty good wins. They also destroyed Stanford, who at the beginning of the season is the team that beat Oregon. And they didn't only beat Stanford, they destroyed Stanford. So, I mean, that's the only blemish on Oregon's record, guys, is Stanford. So for Utah to come in and just absolutely destroy a team that Oregon struggled with, and now granted it was the beginning of the year, but they still did. So, I mean, if Oregon can beat them, though, and in-state rivals Oregon State next week, they're in. So, I mean, that's not a bad path. It might be a little bit hard of a matchup this weekend, but you win this week, you beat Oregon State, who's not very good, and you're in. So do what you can, Oregon. I like Oregon. They're fun to watch. They're fun colors. I want them in the playoffs. But on to Ohio State. So Ohio State, like I mentioned a minute ago, probably has just as rough of a road as Alabama does, possibly even worse. So it's a huge matchup this weekend with an undefeated rival, Michigan State. And in my opinion, this matchup is going to determine who gets in from the Big Ten. I think it's going to be one of the two teams. I think it's going to be either Ohio State or Michigan State, and I think Michigan might, fall beneath both of them and finish out the year maybe third in the division. But assuming Ohio State can make it past them, they still have to play Michigan next week. So they've got two top 10 matchups here in the next 2 weeks, and that's going to be pretty tough as well. So escaping without a loss in the next couple of weeks for them is going to be pretty rough. Well, maybe not rough, but it'll be tough. It'll be tough, I guess. But back to Michigan State though. If Kenneth Walker and company can pull it off, which is very possible, I think they make it in. I mean, they'll have to play a dangerous Penn State next weekend. So, I mean, realistically, they've got a pretty hard path too. I mean, they've got Ohio State and Penn State, and Ohio State has Michigan State and Michigan. I mean, it's these three teams are going to beat up on each other, and so I really only think one's going to get into the playoffs. That's why if you go and look on our Instagram, I only put one. Let me look. Yeah, I only put one Big Ten teams school here in because I mean somebody's got to lose, right? Somebody's got to lose at this point. So we're going to see who it is the next couple of weeks, though. I mean, that's going to be definitely the most exciting conference to watch when it comes time. But we'll see how it goes. So who else can make a run here? Well, with Oklahoma losing last weekend, I think the Big 12 might have to wait another year to get somebody into the playoff contention. Now, Oklahoma has struggled at times this year, winning by a touchdown in less than 3 of their games and losing to Baylor by 2 touchdowns. So that definitely didn't help their case. But I think the team that actually has the best chance to win here is Oklahoma State, or not to win, but to get in is Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State right now they're sitting. I think they're at another top 10. It's either 6, 7, 8, one of those three. But guys, here's the thing: they play Oklahoma in a couple weeks. So if they win this weekend and they win next weekend against Oklahoma, I mean that's going to be a pretty good argument there. They're going to be sitting at 11-1. They're going to be the Big 12 champs, and they're going to have a pretty good win with Oklahoma on their schedule. So in a scenario in which one of these top 4 teams does lose and Oklahoma State gets in, I'm not sure Cincinnati can get in. Because like I said, their only good win is Notre Dame. And I mean, Cincinnati's looked great at times this year, sure. And their offense has looked incredible at times this year, sure. But they haven't really played anybody, I mean, other than Notre Dame. So if this is the case, like if this hypothetical scenario happens in which Oklahoma State does win out, I think that you've got to, in my opinion, you got to put them over Cincinnati. But, well, what about Cincinnati? Well, Cincinnati could still make it if one of those 5 potential slip up. I mean, as it stands, I think they'll be on the outside looking in, unfortunately. And if we weren't transitioning to more playoff teams in the future, it'd be a pretty great time to have great time to have that argument. I mean, Cincinnati, they deserve a chance. It's just, do they deserve a chance more than the other teams that are in it? No, they don't. And that's why I think that we need to move to the 8-team playoff, that I'm personally glad we're moving to the 8-team playoff. But it'd be a lot of fun if it happened this year. Because, guys, like if I keep looking over here because I got this graphic pulled up. And I'll just go ahead and read out the teams to you here that I've got on this 8-team playoff. I've got Georgia at the 1 seed. I'll just go through seeds here, 1 through 8. Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State. Cincinnati would be 5. Michigan State, Notre Dame, and Oklahoma State. Now, that'd be a hell of a lot of fun, guys. I mean, would it not? I mean, it's two or 3 teams that don't regularly make it that are in there. I mean, and as an Alabama fan, like I like the fact that they're in it every year, and I love it, actually. I mean, we're the best team in the world, but at the same time, I mean, I can see how people get tired of it. I can see how people get tired of seeing the Alabamas, the Ohio States, the Oklahomas, and the Clemsons. Now, Clemson didn't really do anything this year, which is just hilarious. But I mean, it does get a little bit monotonous when you see the same teams go in, year in, and year out. And I think an 8-team playoff is the perfect way to get rid of that. I mean, you're going to have a couple of teams in here like a well, they don't really belong because they always get spanked every single time they're in the playoffs. But Cincinnati would be in. They've never been in. I don't know if they've ever won a national championship. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. If they have, it hasn't been in a while. Michigan State, who I think deserves a little bit of retribution, they did get just destroyed by Alabama the last time they were in the playoffs. But I like Michigan State. I like them, and Kenneth Walker absolutely deserves a chance this year. So I mean, if he doesn't get in, I mean, it's sad because you have a potential Heisman guy that's not going to be in contention to win the entire thing. Oklahoma State, haven't seen them in the playoffs. Haven't seen them in the national championship in a long time either. That'd be so much fun. But anyway, we're going to have to wait a few more years for that. But anyway, so here we go. Moving on here. I lost my spot. Yeah. So anyway, in a few years, like I said, we're going to make college football even more fun to watch. It's going to be incredible. I mean, you guys see how exciting it is March every year for basketball. I mean, you have 68 teams now that have a chance to get in the tournament. So why not add a few more for football? I mean, Division II does it, or it might be just be FBS, but I know. So I live in Alabama. Just a little quick side story here, and UNA actually has a pretty good football team. And a few years ago, they made it to the playoffs for FBS or D2, whatever you want to call it. And they I think, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it's 16 team playoff for them. Now, why can't FBS do that? I don't know. I've been asking myself that for years, but it's a start. We're moving up to 8, and who knows? In a few years after that, we might even have 16. I mean, there's no telling. But for now, though, I guess we have to stick to 4, right? So my official prediction is going to be Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State, and Cincinnati. Realistically, Alabama's going to have a tough time beating Georgia. And Georgia's just on some sort of tear that you don't see very often. That you saw, well, I take that back, really. I mean, you look at last year's Alabama team and the year before that's LSU team. You've had two very good teams that have won the national championship the last 2 years. And Georgia seems to be almost at if not at the same caliber as those two teams. They're playing incredible. As much as I hate it, I don't like Georgia, but they are playing incredible. And I think that they're just on a buzzsaw this year. I mean, they're just destroying every single team that they've played. And I do think that Alabama is going to have the best offense that Georgia has faced all year. So it's just going to come down to, well, how good really is Georgia's defense? Because if they can shut down Alabama's offense, Alabama doesn't stand a chance. And so Alabama would be sitting at 10-2. Now, I do know that one of those losses would be an SEC championship game, but at 10-2, I mean, you're going to have teams like Cincinnati or Oklahoma State if they went out, or somebody else. Even Notre Dame could get in there if they went out. I mean, that's just because that's what the committee would do, because Notre Dame, I don't know, they put them in every year and they get destroyed every year. It's just kind of a tradition at this point, I guess. But I mean, that's what it comes down to. And as far as Ohio State goes, I honestly have no idea who's going to come out of the Big Ten. I predict that it's Ohio State just because they've been in this situation. They know how to win in these situations. And I think that they've probably got the best coach, probably got the most talent too. I mean, you've got CJ Stroud and all those wide receivers. All of them are incredible. And they're just going to be really hard to stop. So my money's on Ohio State to come out of the Big Ten. But if they don't, hell yeah, I'd love to see Michigan State or even Michigan get a chance to come out. I don't know, Michigan's never been in the playoffs. That'd be fun. That'd be new, different, But like I said, it'll probably be Ohio State. So, guys, that's going to do it for me. I'm probably going to have another episode, probably maybe even tomorrow. I don't know. I've got a lot of free time on my hands today, so let's see what we got. But guys, I'll be doing that, and go check us out on Instagram. Go check us out on Substack too. Twitter, Facebook. I actually made a Facebook too. And guys, you can actually officially go check out our website. It's just rantonsports.com. And, ignore the Wix site ads on there. I haven't paid for the for the full website yet. Still working on it, still tinkering a little bit here and there. But guys, go check all of that out. Give us a follow. If you're listening on YouTube, guys, give us a subscribe and a like. I mean, it'd be great. I'd like that. I would appreciate that. But guys, that's going to do it for me. I appreciate you listening, and catch us on the next episode. Thanks, guys.